Good afternoon, guys, from another mid-winter's afternoon in England. This time in central London, in Millbank in Westminster, on the bank of the Thames, which is there. This is Victoria Gardens, which is the gardens next door to the Palace of Westminster, which is there, or the Houses of Parliament, where the British Parliament sits. And I've just been thinking today about whether there is a lesson we could learn from the race to the South Pole a century ago. The race between Scott and Amundsen. And I've just finished reading Scott's diaries of that expedition, his expedition to the South Pole. And for anybody who doesn't know, it was a race between the Norwegian Amundsen and the Brit Scott, Captain Scott, and their parties on getting to the South Pole first. Nobody had been to the South Pole, and they were racing to be the first to get there. Almost got hit in the face there by a pigeon. So Amundsen won. Scott and his party perished. Scott himself perished. And it's, if you don't know about it, you may have heard the famous line and story where Oates leaves the tent in the middle of a blizzard, saying he's going out in maybe some time, and what he really does is sacrifices himself because he's holding up the party. He has a bad leg, and the party can't make the distances they need to make. On the way back, this is to safety, and he's holding them up. So he sacrifices himself. He tells them he's stepping outside, and they all know what he's doing. And it's such a courageous thing to do. So you may have heard of that story. But the expedition itself was a disaster. You know, they all perished, they all died. And the ironic thing about it was, in the end, they were not too far away from safety, from a checkpoint with food and shelter. They were quite close, in fact. But so many things went wrong. You know, the weather turned against them, and they couldn't cover the distances they needed to cover. It was just a shocking kind of catalogue of things on top of other things, and they all perished. But what's interesting about it is the two parties had completely different strategies on getting to the South Pole. So with Scott, his strategy was to cover as many miles as possible trekking on the good days, and on the bad days they would just wait out the weather until a good day came, and then they would put in heavy duty trekking and cover as many miles as they could, so to make up for the days lost. Whereas the Amundsen party had a completely different strategy. What they would do is they would put in consistently the same distance every single day, no matter what. Whatever the weather, they would cover the same distance. I can't remember how far that was, but every single day, consistent action every day. And that's the party that won. That's the party that won out. And I just wonder whether we could do that in our working lives to get to our desired outcomes, our desired positions, achieving our goals, our targets, whether if we just put in consistent effort, even if it's less than what we think we could do or we're capable of. Just that consistent effort every single day, 7 days a week, if necessary. Maybe take a day off, 6 days a week. But if it's consistent every day, whether that is far more effective and beneficial to getting you towards your outcome than sporadic, lots of effort one day, no effort the next day, lots of effort another day, less effort another day. I just wonder whether that's telling and whether it was kind of, I guess, inevitable that that strategy would win out, or whether that was the reason that Amundsen triumphed. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell. But for me, and where I'm coming from now, I'm certainly in the camp of consistent daily action, rather than big lumps of action and then less consistent another day. And I would certainly be taking on that strategy. That's the way I would go with it. That's what I do anyway. But as I say, I'm just thinking really whether that was inevitable. It would triumph. It does seem to be the most effective course of action. Because potentially you could have a situation where the good days don't outweigh the bad days, right? And you could have a situation where you're not feeling as great as you do as often as you do feeling bad, or you don't get those days of flow, those days where everything kind of clicks. So there you go, just an idea, just something to play around with. Be great to hear your thoughts, your perspectives, whether one or the other works for you, and let us know. People watching the video get value from other people's comments and perspectives too, so yeah, please comment. Also like, subscribe, that would be well appreciated, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Ciao.